Hello and welcome to World Insight, coming to you live from Beijing on CCTV News. I'm your host, Tian Wei. On today's program, Hillary Clinton Thursday night became the first woman in the United States to have a major party's presidential ticket. With female leaders in the UK, Germany, and the IMF, will 2016 be the year of the woman? Well, join us for this wonderful discussion. We are having a very strong panel. First of all, in Beijing, Julie Broussard, country manager of UN Women here in China. Welcome. In Philadelphia, we're having Ms. Laura Schwartz, a political commentator who worked at the White House during the Clinton years. This is a big day for Mrs. Clinton, and certainly a big day for the U.S. Ms. Schwartz. We've been talking for a lot of times. What do you think about this speech? Is she strong in her points?
Well, I was in the arena last night, and to that arena crowd, which are Democrats, it was huge. The applause, the chants, the cheers, it was enormous. And looking at today's news coverage from around not only America, but the world, it was very well received. Not only was she able to humanize herself as a mother and a grandmother from the introduction from her daughter, Chelsea Clinton, but she was able to discuss policy. She was able to take a very well-calculated jabs at her opponent with a smile. And I think that really set her up of what she wants these next 100 days to be about. Personality as well as policy.
Well, those of us who have watched the speech, it is not supposed to be a rhetorical masterpiece, but rather very pragmatic approach coming from her, laid out where she comes from, trying to deal with the trust issue, and also many of the policies she's supposed to embrace. Having said that, though, Ms. Schwartz, trust issue is a big issue for Secretary Clinton. We've seen her polls, even over the past few weeks, not necessarily doing very well. So is she really dealing with this issue? Will she telling people, have faith in my leadership, really going to help?
I really believe she put a lot of that to rest last night by calling out the contrast between she and Donald Trump. As for the Bernie Sanders supporters that Brendan just mentioned, she has created the most progressive Democratic platform in its history. And if there is a small minority of Bernie supporters that won't get on her bandwagon, I think she more than makes it up with other voter groups. I really believe that now, I mean, we don't have polls out from last night yet. Right now, Donald Trump is up 0.9% in the average of polls as of last week after the RNC. Today, there are some polls that have her up as much as 9 points, but we are still far out from the general election. She and Tim Kaine, her vice presidential nominee, are getting on a bus trip. They're going through the heartland, and they know that this is not where they've culminated their platform. This is where they've kicked it off. Now they've got a very tough and stringent 100 days in front of them, and they are going to use every ounce of energy and policy for that.
They do have a tough time over ahead. What do you say about this trust issue vis-a-vis female leaders? And how do you see her rise as a female leader in American politics? Does she have to act as man, quote unquote, in order to be where she is, including being cunning, being so-called flexible?
That is such a unique and interesting question, Tian, because last night when we saw her discuss Donald Trump and take some pretty good jabs at Donald Trump in her convention speech, she did it with a smile. And I think it's going to be how she attacks him, the way she delivers the attacks, that will determine whether or not she's seen as cunning or she's seen as smart. There's a very fine line, and I think going forward, they're going to continue the tempo that she set that night. Your vice presidential nominee, the candidate for the party, he's the one that has a little bit more leeway to go harder, to be that attack dog. It's more of a traditional measure. Now, he is a man on the ticket, but I really believe that how she did it last night is how they want her to continue doing it for the next 100 days.
What do you think Is this likely to be really the trend? Will there be following up generations, much more of them in numbers?
I do believe so, and I agree with what was just said. I think Hillary really sets a bar, but she acknowledged that there were many that set the bar before her. But now, when you're looking at local elected officials and statewide elected officials and our governmental elected officials, there is a really wonderful group here in the United States who's been incredibly helpful for Hillary Clinton and other women members of Congress, as well as states and on the mayoral level as well, called Emily's List. And they are there to help with research, data, fundraising, information, so that these women entering politics, no matter what their background, are prepared. Hillary herself has had 40 years up until now, but I think it's these organizations that set up women to succeed, like Emily's List, for example, are those that will grow because of this.